I spent a full day in a sales masterclass about a year ago, and it kind of blew my mind. I went in simply wanting to close more web design projects and at higher price points. And what came of it eventually is what took me from 10K being a ceiling I kept hitting for project pricing to 10K being my minimum baseline. And as tempted as I was, I did not run to my camera and immediately make a video about this experience because I wanted to do a couple of things first, which were A, translate everything I learned into what's specifically relevant to people selling design services. B, I wanted to test out the techniques on real calls with actual clients to understand what was really landing. And lastly, I wanted to take the most effective tactics and build them into a repeatable structure that I could use on every single sales call. So that process took between 6 months and a year. And in that time, I was consistently closing projects in the 10 to 25K range. So what you're gonna get in this video is not abstract theory, it's what actually has worked for me as a design service provider. So I'm going to break down the specific tactics that changed how I sell, and I'll show you how exactly you can apply them on your own calls. So whether or not you're using my full call template, which I will link below, you'll walk away with concrete techniques that you can start using on your very next sales call. Let's dive in. Biggest takeaway number 1. In the age of AI, position yourself as an expert guide. So this one is kind of more of a mindset shift. For a long time, being good at sales meant positioning yourself as the keeper of specialized knowledge and skills. You knew things that your clients didn't. That was one of your superpowers and part of why they needed you. AI has basically completely blown that up because now, by the time clients get on a call with you, they've probably already asked AI what platform they should build on, what their homepage should say, what their brand colors should be, and they're gonna have opinions. So if your sales strategy is all about, let me educate you about websites and branding or whatever your design service is, it's not gonna land the way that it used to. So here's what that means. While access to information is no longer a problem for clients, making sense of it and actually doing something with it, that very much still is a problem. And that's exactly where we can come in. Because sure, AI can tell someone, here's a platform, here's some copy, here's a vibe, but your ideal client, or at least mine, which are smart, high-value clients, they're not realistically going to spend days learning different tools to produce an amazing website that does all of these different things right. That's what we do. We can take all of the information that's floating around out there and weave it together into something that will actually work visually, technically, strategically for people's businesses. So my shift here was really to stop trying to position myself as some kind of gatekeeper of secret web design knowledge. Nobody's buying that anymore. Instead, I want to position myself as an expert guide and implementer, the person who helps clients make sense of everything out there and turn it into something that actually moves the needle for them. That is a much more honest pitch, and it's a more powerful one too. Biggest takeaway number 2. Good persuasion starts with good observation. And this one changed how I think about the whole first half of a sales call entirely. When you get on a call with a potential client, if you're like I was, your instinct might be to ask a couple basic questions and then get into pitch mode fairly quickly, where you tell people all about what you do, you show off your work, explain your process, blah, blah, blah. But here's what the masterclass really reframed for me. For the first half of a call, your only job is to listen, connect the dots, and show that you actually understand that potential client. And it works like a simple loop. So you notice a signal that they're giving you, and then you check your understanding of it out loud. So let's say a client mentions that their website is 7 years old, it was done quickly, they kind of trail off. That's a signal. And instead of just, nodding and quickly moving on, instead you want to pause and reflect back to them. Something like, it sounds like when you send your site to potential clients or partners, it doesn't really represent the quality of your present day work, how you'd like it to. Is that right? That's it. These little check-ins do a few things. First of all, it shows that you're not just running through a generic script. It hopefully makes them feel genuinely heard, and it just guides the conversation forward. And here's why that matters so much, is that not every client is motivated by the same thing. Yes, broadly speaking, everyone wants a great looking website or brand that helps their business grow, but our job is to find their specific golden motivation. So the personal, real reason or reasons that they actually care. Because our WordPress site is a nightmare to update and it causes us headaches versus, we're embarrassed to send our website to potential partners. Those are actually two very different problems. One is about saving time and money, and the other is really more about status and representation. If you are pitching the wrong one, you're just kind of going to be talking at the potential client. It's really only by asking good questions and really paying close attention that you can tailor what you say to what they truly care about, not what you assume that they care about or what you might care about if you were in their shoes. Main takeaway number 3, less is more. Once you know what your client actually cares about, that really becomes the North Star for the whole rest of the call. But this is where it can be easy for things to kind of go off the rails. What you don't want is to get deep into a conversation about whether they need a blog, how to handle SEO, animations, lead magnets, etc., etc. All valid topics, but they're not the main point. Here's the general rule. Fewer, stronger points beat a long laundry list every single time. We know as designers that great design has a million benefits, but the moment you start rattling off more than 2 or 3 core reasons to work with you, clients will kind of glaze over, and weirdly, it actually starts to hurt your credibility rather than helping it. So instead of trying to cover everything, stay locked in on the 1 or 2 outcomes that matter most to that client, really reinforce those things and make sure that everything ties back to that. Really helpful takeaway number 4, speak clients' language and validate them. I think this one's a really good reality check, which is that we are not designing for other designers. We're typically designing for normal people running real businesses. And most of the time, they really do not care about cool GSAP animations or your Lighthouse scores or the nuances of Webflow versus Framer. Even if your technical skills and knowledge are amazing, leading with them is really never what you want to do. So what do clients actually care about? In my experience, they care about things like getting more leads, looking trustworthy, not having a website that gives them constant headaches. Whatever it is that you're explaining, whether it's platform choice or how you make design decisions, tie it back to things that they care about specifically in their words. And just as important, do it without being condescending. You never ever want to make someone feel dumb for the choices they've made in the past. So if a client has built their site on Squarespace, don't say, for example, Squarespace is not great for more serious businesses. That will feel like a critique of their judgment and they'll just feel kind of stupid. Instead, try something like, Squarespace is a great starting point. It's fast, affordable. Lots of my clients begin there. Then as their business grows, there's a moment where something a bit more customized just makes more sense. You're really communicating the same thing, but in a way that makes clients actually feel good. So validate where they've been and guide them forward, and just always come from a place of respect. That's what actually builds trust, and trust is what sells. Final and maybe most important takeaway. Show that you're detail-oriented by how you show up. This might sound a bit harsh, but if you are not doing any of the following things on your sales calls, you are probably leaving money on the table. Using a high-quality mic, dressing a little bit extra polished, using extra lighting on your face, greeting your potential client by their name, showing your hands. Weird, I know, but it's a trust thing. Smiling. So here's why things like this matter so much. If your whole brand is I'm a detail obsessed, high taste designer, but you show up to the call with, grainy video or bad quality audio, it creates a mismatch, and clients can feel that even if they don't consciously articulate it to themselves. Humans pick up on so many subconscious signals when they are deciding whether or not they trust someone. And the total of all these things is what really makes or breaks trust. And I think this gets even more important at higher price points, because premium clients are not just paying for a beautiful final result. They are paying for an overall premium experience. And that experience starts the second that they meet you. So treat your sales calls like they are a part of your service, because they really are. To recap, 5 takeaways that genuinely changed how I approach sales calls. 1, position yourself as the expert guide, not as some kind of a gatekeeper. 2, lead with listening, not with pitching. 3, keep things focused. Less is more. 4, speak the client's language and validate them. And finally, show up like the detail-oriented professional that you are. What I love is that none of this is about being slick or manipulative. It's just about showing up prepared, paying attention, and making your clients feel genuinely understood. That's it. So again, if you want a ready-to-use, thorough structure that weaves all of this together, as I mentioned, my call template is linked below. It's what I personally use to close projects in the 10 to 25K range, and it's built around everything that I just walked you through. And if you want to know what comes after the sales call to really bring things home and seal the deal and elevate you above anyone else that the client might be considering, then check out this next video on how I handle proposals.